Hey, how's it going? Today's video, I'm gonna share with you 4 ways of how you can source multifamily real estate. I'm Juan Pablo, CEO and founder of Multifamily Done For You. Let's jump into it. So in no particular order, a great way to find multifamily real estate, we can use the acronym WAWA, like the gas station, right? The first letter in this acronym, the W, stands for wholesalers. So wholesalers are people who are somewhat investor minded, right? But they may not be licensed as an agent. Maybe they may, who knows? But pretty much they find a deal with the seller, they lock it down in the contract, and they assign or sell their contract to the end buyer. In this case, will be a multifamily investor. Now, the great thing with working with wholesalers is that they have the mindset, as I mentioned, of an investor. So they typically may not want to buy the property themselves, whether, they're just not interested or they don't have enough capital, but they'll be willing to make that middleman income by selling it to an investor who would like to buy it. And wholesalers are great because that's what they do full time. They pretty much do direct mail, or they'll cold call and they'll find a motivated seller, lock it down, and they'll share that deal with their buyers list, hopefully you in this case, to get the deal locked down and you buy the property. So yes, you have to pay a finder's fee, right? An assignment fee for this deal, but as long as the numbers make sense, who cares, right? Who cares if that wholesaler made 1,000, 5,000, or 50,000? As long as the numbers make sense, you're able to finance the deal, have a good extra strategy for improving the value, increasing the rents, making it more profitable. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. Now, in terms of the W, that as I'm saying now, I'm really referring to you hiring someone or outsourcing this to someone, partnering with another team or company or person to find these deals. Now, don't get me wrong, you can be the wholesaler yourself, right? You can be that person who works directly with the sellers, whether you're driving for dollars, sending out a direct mail campaign, or picking up the phone and calling a list to lock down this sweet deal. But in this case, you might not reassign it because you have the capacity, the capability to buy it yourself. Then you can do that, okay? But basically the W stands for working directly with the seller, or through either yourself or through a third party like a wholesaler. Now let's get into the next letter in this acronym, the A. The A is for agents, right? So agents, they are licensed, unlike some wholesalers. Now don't get me wrong, some wholesalers can be licensed, a licensed agent, but agents, being that they're licensed and they're realtors, right? They have a code of ethics that they adhere to, right? Which is powerful. Agents have a fiduciary responsibility to their client. So if you're working with a buyer's agent, that's an agent that represents the buyer, in this case, you, the investor, they have to do right by you, for lack of a better term, right? Unlike wholesalers, right? They're trying to make a quick buck, middleman income. The agent, they only get paid at closing, well, like most wholesalers, right? But they want to make sure that they do right by you. So I like to work with agents a lot, especially agents who, on both sides of the coin. If they're a buyer's agent, they're finding a deal through their networking, through their network. Or I could be finding deals directly with a listing agent, someone who actually works directly with the seller, who lists the property, reach out to me for a pocket listing. That's what a pocket listing is, meaning, hey, JP, this is a deal that looks like you and your team will buy. Before I share this with my lists or update it to the MLS or whatever, let me know if this is something that you'll be interested in. Let me know by end of day, right? Or next day, worst case scenario. Agents are great. And in fact, I like having a wide network of agents, well, not necessarily having the broker agreement signed, meaning I have an exclusive relationship just to do all deals through them, but I like to have a team of agents feed me a ton of deals, right? Because whether they are on market or off market, as I share, it could be on market, they put on MLS, it can still be a good deal, or off market, they just listed it with the seller, and before it even makes it to the MLS, they're giving me a call, ask me if I want it, because I've proven myself to be reputable and to be a repeat buyer in their eyes, right? They see a dollar sign on my head because they know that my team and I closed, and so they want to continue to feed us with deals. All right, so that's the W, wholesalers. A, agents. The other W is, I just mentioned it, websites, right? Now that could be you, right? You could be doing this now. You might have a full-time job, family, wife, kids, husband, whoever, and you might spend some nights or weekends scouring on the internet, looking for deals, right? You might be looking onto the MLS yourself if you have access, or you might be looking at other websites such as Crexy, CoStar, LoopNet. You might have access to other websites like that finds deals like PropStream, ListSource. There's many online websites and communities that you can go to for deals, maybe Facebook Marketplace. There's many ways to find deals, right? But it does require of you to carve out the time, doing the office administrative work to actually go online and scour these deals, analyze them, etc. But it's still a really good way of finding deals. In fact, one of our team members, that's one of his ways of finding deals, is through online searches, right? And striking when the hour is hot. So when the deal is just listed or just popped up on this website, it could be even Zillow, Trulia, those websites as well, acting fast, because there's a saying in real estate that goes, time kills all deals. So it's important to strike when the iron's hot. All right, so we got wholesalers, agents, websites. The last A is ask. Ask around. Ask around meaning finding non-traditional ways of getting deals. Like for instance, we recently got an 8-unit under contract Thursday of last week, and it was through one of our property managers. Okay, so she manages the property, and she's also a licensed GC. So she pretty much has her feet knee deep in real estate wearing different hats. So she reached out to me directly and just pretty much shared that, hey, I have this person, out-of-state investor in Washington State. That's where she lives, and she wants to sell her 8-unit, and I currently manage it. And I know I manage properties for you. And with this 8-unit being that I manage it, I know everything that's going on with this property. I know what's working, what's not working. I know who's paying, who's not paying. I know what we got to do to get things legal or legit and blah, 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 blah. I know this property in and out, okay? And I know her motivation for selling. Now, what I can do, JP, is I can share with you her contact information, the seller, to see if you could work out a deal. And if possible, JP, just toss me a finder's fee. I'm not a licensed agent or whatever, so whatever you can manage, I don't know, $1,000 or whatever. Just this grease my palm a little bit for this referral, for finding this deal if something works out. And I said, cool. So I did reach out to the seller, and through her assistant, she has an assistant, and we ended up striking a deal under contract, right? And I got this deal just by asking around. I make sure that everyone on my team, whether they're a PM, an electrician, or whoever, hey, I'm an investor, I'm a buyer. So if you have any deals, send me some deals. In fact, I remember I closed a deal with my electrician. He was actually doing electrical work on an investment property. It was a rehab that we were doing. And he was like, hey, so you do this often? I'm like, yeah, this is my full-time gig. I do real estate investing. He said, well, actually, I got a house that I'm looking to sell. And I told him, I said, hey, just to be straight up with you, I know we have a relationship in terms of you doing electrical work on my property, which I appreciate. But hey, if I'm wearing a different hat here. If you're talking about buying your property, I'm an investor. I don't pay anything top dollar. It has to be at a discount. It has to make financial sense. So as long as you're okay with that, then we can do this deal. But it's not going to be top of market. If you prefer something, retail, then I suggest you work with an agent, and I can refer you to someone who can help you out. And he said, no, I'm looking to sell fast. I know it needs some repairs. All right, well, I'm your man. And I end up buying that property, right? So like letting people know that you are an active buyer and keep repeatedly putting that in the air will help. And this is the one thing I want to close with, because most investors get this wrong. They think real estate investing and deal sourcing is like this. Let me just find one of those and just continue to do that. Let's go back to one of those W's, right? Websites, because that's what a lot of beginning investors do. And they might say, oh, the market's too saturated, or I can't find any sweet deals, or the price of properties are way too expensive, or as soon as I try to get a deal closed, someone else already beat me to it. Well, yeah, it does happen, because you might be doing this as a solopreneur, right? You'll have a team involved. But we have one of our team members, let's say his name is John. His full-time job is finding deals, and it's the kicker. He doesn't just have one fishing rod when going fishing, he has multiple. So when he has multiple fishing rods in a pond, that increases his likelihood of getting a good catch. What do I mean? If he has multiple ways of sourcing deals in a pond, in a market, in an area that we like, right? Which we know that has really good fishing, it increases your likelihood of getting a good catch. So if we have our PM sending us deals, if we have our electrician sending us deals, if we're doing direct mail, if we're doing cold calling, if we're working with wholesalers, if we're working with agents, whether from the buyer side or the seller side, listing agents, pocket listings, online research, access to MLS, driving for dollars. If we have many of these strategies at play, it increases the likelihood of getting a good catch. And if you're interested in getting a good catch, a good deal, a good multifamily deal, we're your company, we're your team, the execution engine. Book a discovery call so that way we can see if it's a good fit for you, we're a good fit for you, and if you're a good fit for us. All right? Now you don't have to do anything I share in this video. All I say is this: just keep coming back. As always, guys, this is to your success. Continue to earn passively, live passionately. Peace.